In this video, we are going to cover OrgChart and its ability to not only draw beautiful organization charts and engage in workforce planning, but also how it handles the management of open positions in your organization. But first, let's talk a little bit about the OrgChart value proposition. The workforce is always changing. People are coming and people are going. The OrgChart application gives you the ability to visualize and shape your workforce for maximum results. In addition, OrgChart ensures that your charts are always kept up to date and in sync with your payroll system or your human resource information system. And because OrgChart is a great tool for workforce planning, it helps you plan for the future and even manage the transition of organizational change. For open positions, we see that employees are constantly coming and going. We have resignations, retirements, promotions, and relocations that are always creating job openings. In this video, we're going to show you some of the capabilities of OrgChart in being able to manage the gaps that occur as your organization changes. As a brief overview, with the open position management in the OrgChart application, you're going to be able to create open positions, import a list of candidates for hiring, fill those open positions, and finally track changes so that you can see the results of any changes that you make and ultimately be able to compare the results from the point that you start to the point that you're done. You can know exactly what changed. And now we will proceed to a presentation on the steps for managing open positions in your organization using the OrgChart application. For OrgChart, we will start with specifying a basic organization chart and how we can move people to what is called the staging area. This is a temporary area where we can park people until we decide to move them to other parts of the organization. To do this, we will go to the View tab and we will select the staging area. And as soon as we do that, we see that there's a staging area pane that appears. I can drag an employee from the chart into the staging area. And now you see that I have an individual named Gary who has been removed from the chart, put into the staging area. I can move to another part of the organization and redeploy Gary. So here I have navigated to the VP of Marketing's organization. I can select Gary in the staging area and I can have him report to Ted. And as soon as I do that, then we can see that Gary appears in Ted's organization. So that's one example of how the staging area can be used to temporarily store people. Next, we're going to show how open positions are managed. With open position management, we have a higher status field that can show different values. For example, if I double click here, a person could be an employee, a candidate, we could decline them, or we could declare this an open position. So that's an important feature of the open position management, would be the status of the person that we have in a particular box. I've built some conditional formats here so that any position that is filled with an employee, their hiring status is employee, is going to show as this light green color. If the position turns open, it's going to be yellow. So let's take a look. If we take Daniela, for example, and change her position to open, we can see instantly the color changes. Let's undo that and put her status back to employee. In this example, we'll take Jean's box, who's the Vice President of Development, and we're going to turn this into an open position. Jeannie's going to be leaving. I right click, I go to Person and move Person to the staging area. The position becomes open and we've got Gene is showing up now in the staging area. His hiring status is employee because he is with the company, but the position is open. If I want to refill this open position, I can select Gene, grab Gene, I hold down my control key, put it over this position, and instantly he comes back. His status is employee, so the box now turns from yellow to the light green. So this is an example of how positions can be declared open and the people can be moved about using the staging area. Now there's some behind the scenes work that I did before I showed this example, and let me show you the area. On this planning tab, there are three commands that are important for managing open positions. They're called the person fields, and that is which fields are we going to bring with the person as we move them to the staging area. Okay, and so in this case we selected name, photo, and rating because those are going to belong to the individual. We want those preserved as we move them to the staging area. The next item is the open position settings, and what that is that Anytime we have a position that has a hiring status of open, we want to take the field called name and fill it with a value called open position, or it could be open or whatever you like, but this is where we set the value for what field changes as we move a person and create an open position. And finally, this button here is to validate the hiring status, ensuring that we only have 4 different status types. And again, for review, those are employee, the candidate, decline, or open position. So the next thing I'm going to do here is to import a set of names that are going to be candidates for positions that are open. Here is a list, an Excel sheet with 5 individuals in it. They have a rating, they have a salary, a hiring status of candidate because they don't yet belong to the company, and we even brought their photos along. And now I'm going to import that list into this staging area where I right click and I click on import positions. I select the file, I browse to it, and then I go ahead and I click on OK to be able to import them. And you can see after I import, now I have the names listed in the staging area. I have ratings, salaries, and I have hiring statuses for each one. Let's fill an open position using Louise Tang. I click on Louise's record, start dragging, and as I do, I hold down the control key and then I let go. And now we have Louise has filled the open position and it's in candidate status. And if I check under the tracking of changes, I can see that we have Louise who has moved into this position that was previously open. So there we have the ability to do the tracking while we are doing the filling of the open positions. Now, it's also important to note is in our process, if we finally decide that Louise is a satisfactory candidate, we can change her status to employee. And as soon as we do that, then we have a box that looks like the others who are employees. Keep in mind that if we are not filling open positions, if we simply have a list of people that we wanted to add to the organization, there's no reason why we couldn't grab each one and just simply drag them without using the control key to report to another person. And as you can see, I was able to take 2 individuals out of the staging area and simply have them report to Josh here at the top. And again, they are showing up as yellow because they are not employees. Changing their status to employee will change that. Or if upon further investigation they're not going to satisfy the position, then we could give them an indicator of decline. Or if they need to go back to the open pool or back into staging, that's simply a matter of just dragging and dropping. Now, one other thing to note here is that we do have the ability to do computations for the total number of open positions, candidates, the amount of salary involved for each one. So for example, if we take Janice here and we move Janice to an open status, for example here, we're just going to move her to the staging area. As soon as we do that, we can see that her task now shows up under the total number of open positions and the salary value. So you can see how computations can be quickly done as we're moving people in and out of the organization. Just a brief note, this staging area is a dockable pane, and so I can put it on the right side, on the bottom, on the top. I can unhook it many different ways, and it gives you an idea of very easy ways in which you can manage the visuals while you're doing your planning. So this gives a quick view now of how OrgChart can handle the management of open positions or shuffling people about the organization. We give you the ability to recognize, to plan, monitor changes to your workforce or group, and you can do it in a strategic manner using measurement, statistics, budgeting control, and tracking as you go. For more information on using OrgChart for workforce planning and organizational charting, be sure to visit us on the web at orgchartpro.com or send a note to us at sales@officeworksoftware.com.